This is the GX9, and LG sponsored this video so I can unbox it for all of you. Oh my God. I saw it at CES and it was awesome, but too many people. It's a 5K, 2K, 165 hertz monitor, but it's another one of LG's dual mode systems, so you can actually go up to 330 hertz if you're willing to sacrifice some screen resolution. Oh my gosh, this is probably upside down, because that's the panel. There we go, look at this. Let's check out our accessory box, and this looks like the base of the stand. Yep, ooh, that's heavy. Get the other part of the stand. Oh. This is a very nice, heavy-duty stand. You got some nice cable management in the back. I'm a little worried that won't really fit a C13. Maybe one connector small enough that it'll get through there just fine. Big old accessories bags and boxes. DisplayPort cable. I don't know if it's 2.1. This thing is DP 2.1. UHBR 13.5. With DSC, you know, your image is gonna look pretty solid. We've got a USB-C to C cable. That's because I haven't looked at this thing yet, but I have taken a look online and there's no USB-B upstream. I've never seen that in my life. Every single monitor I've used is USB-B for upstream. So really excited to see USB-C to C, HDMI 2.1 cable. And then it looks like we've got some power cables here. This looks like a pretty typical C13. And it's gonna go into a very beefy power brick. This power brick weighs like it's gotta be at least 3 pounds by itself. But the nice thing is, yeah, this should absolutely fit into the slot there for cable management. So man, this is cool. It's a huge long column and there's still 2 bolts here. I'm a pretty big fan. I bet you that's actually gonna be really clean and sturdy. And because this is just flat, you're not gonna lose a bunch of desk space. Like, yeah, it'll be slightly higher than your desk pad or whatever, but you could totally like put knickknacks or whatever you want on that. Oh, baby, look at this thing. 800R curvature. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty deep on the desk. Ah! You can do it by yourself. You might want a friend though. You might want a helping hand because it's huge. At 45 inches, 5K, 2K, you are getting 125 PPI. And that is a huge improvement over their last model, which was sub 100, I believe. So people who want a really fancy ultra-wide OLED that is like a solid single monitor solution, but still maintains really good image clarity, this is probably the one for you. They've also improved the subpixel layout to go RGWB. It's my first time seeing that, not just on a showroom floor, so I'm excited. Probably won't be able to tell the difference without a microscope or anything, but you know, we'll look at some text. As for the stand, it has some rotation. There's not a ton, but you know, when this is the only monitor on the desk, you've just got to put it in one spot and like rotate it a little bit to get it perfect. We've got a bunch of height adjustment. You know, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it doesn't pivot, but it does have a little bit of tilt for you. We've got to take off the stand to look at the I/O because it's pretty much all right behind it. They've actually got this really nice cable cover here. Looks very clean, but really hard to actually look at it with the stand in the way. We've got 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, DP 2.1, as well as, like I said before, the USB-C for uplink with no USB-B in sight. And the cool thing is it also does 90 watts of power delivery, which is gonna, you know, charge a laptop, charge a phone, charge a mobile device, like whatever. We've also got a couple of USB-A ports, as well as our power plug. They've also got a Kensington lock, as well as a headphone jack. And what I'm noticing now that I'm looking at it is they do have this navigation nipple on the back here, but there's this new button. I don't know if this is just for power or whatever, but we'll find out as soon as we power it on. HDR, 4K. Oh my gosh. I'll never get tired of looking at this footage, especially on an OLED and especially on an ultra-wide, because you can see how the rest of the panel just goes like perfectly black and the colors just look outstanding. We'll talk about that more later with the labs results and everything. As for the subpixel, let me check out some text really quick. I've never been sensitive to fringing before, and I'm not sensitive to it now. This looks pretty good to me, scaled up and scaled down. One really great use of ultrawides is you basically have 2 full screens here. And so, you know, you wanna watch 2 YouTube videos at the same time, you can go ahead and do that. And it feels like a ton of screen space still. Before we game on it though, let's check out the OSD. It's got the typical UltraGear cool menu. I love it. VRR on, HDR on, DAS mode on. VRR, this thing has G-Sync compatibility as well as FreeSync Premium Pro support. And then on top of that, right now we're in the 165 hertz mode, but that's because we're at 5K, 2K. We'll turn it up to 330 hertz later when we go into 2560 by 1080. But for now, I just want to see what's in here. We got game mode, we got dual mode. There's a little button down here that you can just press to toggle it on and off. You don't always have to do it in the OSD, but you can. We're gonna go peak brightness high, LG's claiming this is their brightest OLED ever thanks to MLA Plus technology, and it seems to be because we measured over 1300 nits when we did our measurements. So good job, LG. It's super bright. It's also got VESA True Black 400 certification, so it'll do about, I think, 250, 275 nits full screen. Let's see what else we've got. We've got sound DTS Headphone X on the headphone jack. That's pretty cool. It's got an internal speaker. I have to try the speakers. These are not bad. Let's wait for the drop. That's not awful. I'm honestly very impressed. And normally when I see speakers on a monitor, I'm like, okay, you know what? It just has to work. You just want it to output sound so that if you don't have speakers or headphones, you have something. This is legit. You could actually game and use your computer with these speakers. I'm not saying that you can't get something better, but for that to come in this thing, that's pretty sick. Before we game, we gotta make sure we're at optimal distance. They say that you should be about 80 centimeters away. Try not to touch the screen with this thing. And right about there is 80 cm. This is sick. I could honestly be a little closer. To be like fully wrapped around and immersed in this, I could be a little closer than 80 cm, but I'm very comfortable with this as well. Oh man, this feels great. Once again, this is an 800R curvature, which is pretty aggressive, but I think for a monitor of this size, especially ultra wide, it's actually great. They could probably go even a tiny more curved and I'd be okay with it. I really like it. One thing to note, 11 million pixels is a lot to drive. That's more than 4K. You're gonna need a beefy graphics card. So it's not gonna be for everyone, but for those who are looking for these exact like specs and size and performance, it's pretty sick. It might not look as sharp, but we're gonna try turning dual mode on. 2560 by 1080, 330 Hertz. And I was actually worried about this looking a lot fuzzier and blurrier at 2560 by 1080p, but I don't know if it's just really good upscaling. It honestly looks pretty decent. So I think if you want the 330 Hertz, just turn it on and see if it's for you. Maybe you'll be really sensitive to it, but I'm a bit picky and this looks pretty good to me. But it's not just dual mode, it's octa mode. They've got 8 different variants, so let's try them out with Counter-Strike. So this is 5K 2K at 165. It looks pretty sick, but let's try something a little different. All right, you ready for this? We got 16 by 9, 24 inches. So I'm just doing some CS2 aim lab warm-up. I'm not very good. I don't play shooters much anymore, but I gotta say, this feels great. And I actually normally I prefer it on the bottom, but for aim lab, I'm actually pretty comfortable on such a big display, having it right in the center. And I think that if you do want it lower, you just lower the stand a little bit. Oh yeah, 27 inch. You know, maybe you're more of a 27 inch kind of person. 24 is a little small, but some, especially older games, don't really support ultra wide very well. So bam, you want to still have a decent sized monitor, set it to 27 inch. I'm not 100% sure why you'd want 21 by 9 at 34 inches, but hey, if that's what you're looking for, you can have ultra wide inside of an ultra wide. Ultra wide Dota, 34 inches. This is what I used to play, and it seems very familiar to me. I'm a big fan. I don't know how many people are going to want to do ultra wide inside of an ultra wide personally. When it's set to off, you'll be at the 165 Hertz refresh rate, either in full wide or 16 by 9, 37 inches. For any of our on modes like full wide, 21 by 9, 39 inch, 21 by 9, 34 inch, 16 by 9, 37 inch, 16 by 9, 27 inch, or 16 by 9, 24 inch, they're all at 330 Hertz. It's also a flicker-free display, and it's got pretty good anti-glare that actually diffuses my flashlight pretty well. And I mean, we've got studio lights pointed pretty much right at it, and I couldn't tell at any point while I was gaming. So like, yeah, flashlight, you could see it, but that's kind of an extreme example. And even then, it really does diffuse it quite nicely. And LG claims that it's got low blue light emission. It looks pretty good to me, but how does it perform? Well, we ran it through our tests, and it's actually pretty decent. In terms of SDR color accuracy, we got pretty great results. And then in terms of HDR color accuracy measured by Delta E ITP, it's also pretty solid. As for brightness, we did test over 1300 nits in HDR in a 1% window. So again, it's beating their claims. And this thing also does less than 0.1 milliseconds of gray to gray motion response time, that's what OLED does. It's really good. But what about the price? The 45 GX950A is a lot of monitor, but it also costs a lot of money. Depending on the retailer you go to, prices may vary a little bit, but it's gonna be around $2,000. However, you're getting a lot out of that, and I think that this is really a jack of all trades monitor that can do pretty much whatever you want as long as you're only looking for one giant screen for your giant desk. It's beautiful. The pixel density is a huge improvement over the last model, and I think that if it's the right monitor for you, you can check it out in the link in the description below. Thanks LG for sponsoring this video. Make sure to check out some other short circuits. See you later.